Hello, everyone. You are listening to our 19th segment of How Can You Say That? Our topic tonight is timely and very controversial. It's transgenderism infiltrating feminism. And I just know that we're probably going to get a lot of backlash for this, but we can't always play it safe. We have to discuss some topics that are relevant in today's world.
And controversial.
And by sticking them under a rug, they're not going to go away.
No.
And I am a born woman, so I am eager to talk about this.
Very boring. Exceptionally boring.
I did not say boring.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have misheard. What'd you say?
But amongst many of his flaws, he's got some time.
I swear, I thought you said boring, and I was just agreeing. What did you say? What was the word you used?
I said I am a born woman.
Born! Oh, well, yeah, we were all born. But that leads into the topic.
Born woman.
Bingo! Bingo. You said it. You are a born woman. So let's take that and let's run with that. But before we do that, I just want to say one thing. We did agree on the previous podcast that we were going to have a good and welfare section of the podcast. So before we get into the topic, I'd like to have one item of good and welfare that I'd like to discuss on the calendar. And that is wishing my son a congratulations on his engagement to get married to a lovely girl from a great family. And we couldn't be more excited. The wedding's going to be potentially on October 12th in the Holy Land in Israel. And we are very, very much looking forward to it. So I just wanted to mention that.
Congratulations to your son and your future daughter-in-law.
Thank you. And it's so nice of you that you said you were going to fly to Israel to be at the wedding. And that was really sweet. Thank you. Maybe we'll do the podcast from Israel that week on location.
How cool would that be? Yes. The next podcast is going to be...
I was actually kidding. You're not coming. You took that seriously?
No, you took it seriously.
Oh, no.
What the heck
No, I was joking, and apparently your whole face lit up when I said that.
Oh, yeah.
Now I had to uninvite you, and now you look devastated.
Of course.
All right, let's get into the topic. Enough of this nonsense.
Before we get into that, I'd like to add, for those of you who are unsure of the meaning of transgender, I looked it up, and it is a broad term that can be used to describe people whose gender identity is different than they were taught to be when they were born, and that they are visibly born as. Mm-hmm. So, on that note, for those people who didn't...
I don't know if that's a note or a fairy tale, but okay, we can go with that.
So...
Well, let's get into it this way. So, I watch a lot of things on YouTube, and obviously this is a very hot button topic in many regards, and there are people on both sides of this issue that feel very, very strongly about this topic. And, I really like to keep things very simple. I try not to complicate things. That's one of the things I'm pretty good at. When you're arguing with someone, they give you this whole roundabout thing, you just kind of try to boil these things down to the most basic level and get an answer. And, one of the things this always starts with is when you ask someone, I've watched on YouTube these different people like, Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and all these, more conservative people who are highly intelligent. And they always ask, Matt Walsh in particular always asks one particular question whenever he does any of these conferences or talks when it comes to transgender. And when you're done breaking the studio, let me know. Did that just shatter all over the place? Or okay. What his question is? His question is very simple. What is a woman? What's the definition of a woman? And when you ask some of the transgender people what a woman is, the conversation starts getting really weird and really, as you always say, matrixy, and start going, well, I don't know what a woman is. A woman is defined as whatever they want to be, and if whatever you feel, and that you were assigned this at birth. And then he just looks at them and goes, no, actually what a woman is a biological female. Pretty simple. Chromosomes, I don't know, which is it? What does a woman have? XX, and a man has XY, or is it the other way?
A woman has XX, a man has XY.
Okay, so if someone has XY chromosomes and they were born biologically female, I mean, that pretty much, doesn't that end the discussion? And Just boil it down to most basic level. That's the part that mixes me up. What's your feeling on that? Because
My feeling is,
wait, I wasn't done.
how does, okay.
No, forget it. No.
How does one know someone with the total appearance of a man is a woman? That's my question.
Oh, very easy. You take your pants off. Again, let's keep it very simple.
What, have you seen,
Men have penises, women have vaginas.
have you seen the movie Crocodile Dundee?
Yes, back in the 80s.
Remember how he figured out if it was a man or a woman?
Yes, is that very famous.
Test.
Right. Okay, well, that's one way to do it. But let's say you don't want to get that engaged and you just want to do a visual. It's pretty simple.
I don't want to get that engaged. Do you think that you can walk up to a bar or somewhere where someone's identity is in question and just do the test?
No, let me clarify that, because the identity is never really in question, and I'll tell you why from a man's perspective. See, men are much more perceptive than they're given credit for. Women usually think men are, sort of airheady. They're not thinking. They think with their private parts. They're not observant. They're stupid. I can distract a man by lifting my shirt up or whatever. But let me be very clear with you how this man that you're sitting next to.
Oh, I know about this man sitting next to
you. You don't know anything about this man. You think you do. You don't even know if I'm actually a man.
You wish that I didn't know as much as I know, but keep going, Jonathan.
Okay. So let's say I'm at a bar. Or I'm at a club, or I'm at whatever, and I see this, what I perceive initially to be a woman. Okay, I start engaging. There are certain little subtle things that all of a sudden start setting off an alarm. It's like a tripwire. You look at all these things, and all of a sudden these little wires are getting tripped, and little lights are going off on your head, flashing warning, warning, warning. Sometimes it could be the voice. Sometimes it could be the mannerism. Sometimes it could be the Adam's apple. Sometimes it could be body hair. Sometimes it could be little parts of stomach. There's very subtle things on a transgender woman that most of the time are immediate giveaways where you start to say to yourself, something's not sitting right with me here. I'm going to extract myself from the situation. Now, there are other times where it takes longer, where you have to get in a little bit deeper until you could figure it out. But I would say probably 99% of the time, that could be figured out pretty quickly, and it's not really well hidden.
Well, Jonathan, one thing I'd like to add to this podcast before we continue is that I have compassion for some of these people, because although they're genetically wired to be one way, they're identifying emotionally with the other gender.
Correct.
And a lot of times I don't know what's behind this or why it happens, but it's very difficult for these people. So I have a lot of compassion for them. Now, on the other hand, there are some people who just get tired of being one gender and decide they want to be the other, maybe because they want to experience life as both. And so either way, it's everyone's prerogative to choose to be who they want to be. However, my issue is when they start, for example, if it's a man who decides he wants to be a woman, when they start believing that the privileges of a natural born woman
exactly
be enjoyed and shared by them. That's where I take it.
So let me pause you for a second there, because that's exactly where we're going with this. But before we get there, I want to say that this has nothing to do with your sexuality, being gay or straight. Okay, so let's establish it right off the bat. This has nothing to do with me or you or anybody saying that you don't have the right to live how you want to live. You want to pretend you're this, you want to pretend you're that, you want to play dress up, do whatever you want. You can do that, no one is stopping you, no one's criticizing that. My issue, and then we're going to get into what you said, is don't force me to be an actor in that fairy tale. In other words, let's say I want to be on the side of reality, okay? And there is a reality. The reality is very clear, because the reality has only been clouded in the last, let's say, 10 to 20 years with all the stuff which really never existed. Of course, there were cross-dressers and stuff like that, but it never really existed where there was actual attempts to change the gender or the definition of what the gender is. So again, I don't mind it, do whatever you want, but don't force me to believe it. Don't force me to be an actor in the fairy tale, in the theatrical production. It's just not something that you're going to impose on me, but you could do what you want. Now, with that being said, let's get into what you said, because that's really the heart of the topic here. And you know what I want to know? Remember, there's that organization, National Organization of Women, I think it is, NOW is the acronym.
Yeah.
So where the hell is this organization, which is supposed to be fighting for women's rights? Why are they not vocal, at least that I know of, in regard to the invasion of feminism by the transgender movement? When you have something like Caitlyn Jenner or Bruce Jenner becoming Woman of the Year, how offensive is that to natural born women that have been women for 20, 30, 40, 50, 80 years and have done things that only women can do, real women, like give birth, raise children, have family, those kind of things. What an insult to actual real women when someone like Caitlyn Jenner, and I'm not making a judgment on Caitlyn Jenner, I'm making a judgment on whoever nominated Caitlyn Jenner as Woman of the Year. Wouldn't you take serious offense to that as a hypothetical woman that I think you are?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because they are suppressing their testosterone and they're using estrogen. They're using estrogen, a special type. I think it's called exogenous. I could be pronouncing it wrong.
Sounds like
estrogen
wrong.
To feminize
Dr. Butcher.
To feminize
themselves. And so at the end of the day, they're still wired and built differently to women. So they're naturally stronger. And the fact that they've decided they want to be a woman, I think they should be excluded from normal women activities. There was a Civil Rights Act that was made for women back in 1964, and that Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on race, religion, color, or national origin.
Is that Title IX?
Or in public places.
Is that Title IX?
I don't know if it's
I think it's called Title IX.
Schools and employment, but it doesn't say if you decided that today you want to be a woman for whatever reason, but somehow these privileges, somehow you are entitled to these privileges.
Exactly. Well,
and it's unfair to naturally born women. It's like women battle throughout their lifetime, a lot of them until recently, with, first of all, finding their place in the world. It was known that we were not supposed to have jobs. We were supposed to stay in the house and cook. And
I still believe that. Is that changed?
And
when did that? I didn't get the memo that changed.
Oh, men are still trying to impose by wanting to take over our world, by wanting to become the top model.
Well, of course.
The top athlete.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, really? What am I?
So where is Gloria Steinem?
I miss you.
Where is Gloria Steinem, the ultimate feminine activist? Unless she died, and I don't know. That's where she is. But I would assume she's still alive. Why is she not yelling and screaming that all the feminists, the single biggest threat to the feminist movement in anything you just described is transgender women? Because what they're doing is they're totally setting back the women's movement because they are invading it and taking those privileges, like you just said, that was designed specifically to segregate women from men. For example, bathrooms on the most basic level, locker rooms during sporting events. How about prisons? How about prisons? What if you're a transgender man, and this I know has happened, that's sentenced to prison and you end up in a women's prison because you identify as a woman, and then you impregnate the cellmate that you have? I mean, these things, they get so wacky and wild and crazy. And like you were making a very logical argument. And we always say, and we talked about it on the prior podcast, that an argument to make sense has to be logical and has to be consistent. So somebody that will accept a transgender woman as an actual woman, well, then you can't say all the things that you just said, which is don't take our privileges. And you can't be Sports Illustrated swimsuit model of the year, or even in the female edition of Sports Illustrated swimsuit, because that is specifically for women.
Yes, because they don't get their periods and their hormones don't go wonkers and cover their faces in zits and all the shit women have to endure. And so they turn out to be the pretty girl version of a woman because they are not wired genetically like women. And again,
no, they're not.
I am saying I have compassion for them, and what I believe is necessary is a category needs to be created for them.
Well, the category is created.
Focusing on women.
The category, but you can't have it both ways. Either you're going to say this person is a woman or they're not a woman. If they are a woman, they get all the privileges that you get. If they're not a woman, they get none of them. It's black or it's white. You can't, once you start to muddy the waters like that, the argument loses all of its credibility.
Well, I don't agree with you, Jonathan, because I believe if someone has become a transgender woman, he or she still has a penis. And even if they've had the surgery, right?
All the internal mechanisms are still there. That doesn't change. They still have a prostate.
Right. So why is that fair to a woman that when we are in a bathroom that was designed for us and we want to relax and enjoy that privilege of using the bathroom in peace, we have a man amongst us who's decided he's a woman, and I completely have compassion. I'm adding that again because it's not a judgment, but I'm standing up as a woman because I'm tired of women's rights, women's privileges being imposed on by men. And no offense to any man who's now a transgender.
Well, we've now established that you're a transphobe.
I am not.
But that's what they're going to call you for everything you just said. They're going to say you're transphobic.
I don't care what they call me. This is the problem.
I love this feisty part of you. I love it. We're actually agreeing on almost everything here. This is unforeseen. It is unexpected. It's a one-shot deal. It will never happen again. So who's ever listening and enjoys us fighting, I apologize because we seem to agree here. And I'm going to bring up something else you probably agree with. How about we mentioned prisons, bathrooms, locker rooms. What about sports leagues?
That's what I said.
Right, this Leah, whatever its name is, Leah Thomas is whatever his name is. So this Leah Thomas was a third-rate, horrible men's swimmer. All of a sudden decides to identify as a woman and becomes the top-rated swimmer. How do those other people? Well, we know how the other people on that team feel because they've done interviews about how they were harassed by the college and told to shut up, and that their lives and careers would be ruined if they didn't go for therapy to try to understand this. This freaking guy moves in and destroys women's sports. And that's just what's happening. I think it's wrong. And I think more real women need to stand up and say, this is unacceptable. We're not going to tolerate this anymore. Anytime we see a transgender person in our bathroom, we're calling the police because this is not right. It's an invasion of feminism. It's an invasion of privacy. It's a total rebuke of Title IX, if that's what's actually called. And it's the single, as I said before, the single biggest threat to women and feminism that has existed far beyond the threat that men have ever presented to the women's movement.
And even if the transgender was my child, I would feel the same way. So clearly we have an issue. And the issue is, once again, women are being
bamboozled
by men. And so I think the solution for the problem, since some people are not comfortable being what they were born as, and I get it, that we create a category in the world now besides men and women, we call it transgender. So they have a safe platform.
It exists already. That's what we're talking about.
So where is it? And why is it if it exists, they are still invading women's?
Because the whole notion of transgenderism, you transition from one gender to the other. So what you're saying is create a new category that if you're going to transition from the gender you were born as, you're going to this other new subcategory that has its own rights and privileges.
That's exactly.
I don't disagree with that. That's a really good idea. But I think it flies in the face of what transgenderism is actually meaning.
No, because you can't continue to impose on women in the way that we have been imposed over centuries. It's freaking time women say enough is enough.
Look at you getting all hot and bothered and sweaty. You're going to take a shower afterwards. So, as a man, by the way, let me just say this. Wait. Let me say one thing before I forget. As a man, I am much less angry about transgenderism and men converting to women. You know why? You know what?
If I knew why, I would tell you why.
Less competition. Because when a man leaves our man movement and either becomes gay or transgender, they're no longer competing with us for women. So men are not unhappy to see men leave and transgender.
Why does that not surprise me? Anyway.
I'm just thinking from a from a selfish perspective. The less competition we have for women, the better. That's all I'm saying. Unfortunately for women, it's a lot of the good-looking ones that leave. But okay, whatever.
changing the concept of woman will cause unintended harms because concepts tell us what gets included and what doesn't.
Yes.
So I think you and I need to start the movement that will create the category for these people
Yes.
to lovingly exist,
Exactly.
to be who they want to be without imposing on
Yeah,
anyone.
you start that movement. You do that. Go ahead, and you let me know when you got that underway. So, you know, it's not. I think it's great. I think you're much smarter and more talented than I am. I don't have the ability to do these things.
I will accept that. Thank you. What are you
know what's funny?
No, I'm not.
You know what'd be funny?
Say that.
You know how you refer to yourself as Jen sometimes? Right?
No, my boyfriend calls me Jen.
Okay, Jen.
My honey.
So, you know what'd be funny though? If his name was Eric. Do you know why? Because then you'd be Jen Eric.
Of course, Jonathan had to interject with some little bit of
like Jen. Oh, look, you know, like Ben Affleck, and Jennifer Lopez. You would be Jen Eric, Jen and Eric. It just hit me yesterday.
You're feeling good about this?
I think that's hysterical. Absolutely.
I feel like I'm staring in the face of Columbus.
What is your boyfriend's name? Is it Eric? Please tell me it's Eric, please, so I can have a field day with this one.
Anyway, Jonathan can't help himself. I think by now you guys know this.
Yeah, we do.
But anyway, I think that this topic is probably going to get backlash, but any transgender person listening, whether you are a transgender parent or you are the I love and support whatever you need to live a fulfilling life.
So let's clarify that again.
Except
Let's clarify that again.
we don't want you in our bathrooms because it
That's
feels weird.
We are not
We
anti-trans.
don't want you. No, we
Be
are not.
whatever trans you want. Just don't impose it on us and don't invade our privacy.
Can
Is that fair?
We can't be more clear about that.
Okay.
We are not knocking anyone who's.
So is it fair to say that anyone who labels us a transphobe is completely out of line?
Yes. So
Okay.
because I don't judge, I always say it, and it's true. I don't. I judge from the perspective of protecting myself.
So now,
but I don't judge to condemn.
I judge the contempt.
So we know this. So if you have a child who's a transgender, or you are, I lovingly support, and I'm repeating this again because I want to make sure I don't offend anybody.
Too late.
But I don't want you competing in sports under the category of a woman. I don't want you in my bathroom. I think that you are entitled to stay in the men's bathroom until they have a bathroom that are for men, because you have a penis and even though you're now a woman, you identify.
A faux woman. I mean, not a real woman.
Yeah.
Because like you said, because you have a penis. So you can't be a real woman if you have a penis. I mean, we kind of established that the chromosomal thing, where if you're, don't have the right chromosomes and you have the male reproductive part and the prostate that produces the things that make babies, and you don't have ovaries. Again, these lines are not blurry. They're very, very clear. They're ironclad. They're not debatable. That's, everyone always says go with the science. That actually is science. And anything else that is made up is exactly that. It's a fairy tale and made up.
And because you are born genetically man, not woman, you need to stop claiming the rights and the privileges of a woman.
Correct.
What are we doing? We can't seem to have anything.
Well, it was like a conspiracy by men on how to invade women's privacy. I know how to do that. I'll throw a dress on and claim I'm a woman. But you ever hear of Dylan Mulvaney? I think that's his name. So Dylan Mulvaney, the one that became part of this Budweiser advertising thing, and then had this giant backlash against Budweiser. Right. Was all pissed off and throwing Budweiser beer in the garbage. So Dylan Mulvaney, I don't know if you know this. He had a celebration in Rockefeller Center for what he defined as 365 days of girlhood. And it was a star-studded event celebrating a full year completing.
Did he have his period?
No. And still has his penis. But, okay, anyway. But wait, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about this. So he had, see, I don't even know what it is anymore. He had a celebration, Rockefeller Center, star-studded event with celebrities, celebrating 1 year of girlhood. And what's interesting about this, you just mentioned something about a period. What's interesting about that is the fact that my wife, let's say, had 3 children. You had 2 children. There are women out there that have had 5 children, 8 children, 10 children, raised these children as a mother should raise and nurtured them. And these women don't get star-studded events at Rockefeller Center. They don't even necessarily get acknowledged for the things that they've done as a woman. But this individual who never had children, can't have children, never will have children, as you said, never menstruated, can't have a period, still has a penis, is celebrating a full year completed of girlhood. And I'm sure we'll celebrate 2 years and 5 years and 10 years of something that they actually never had and never will have.
I have a question.
But isn't that so disturbing?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What has gone wrong in the world?
Oh, that's a whole separate podcast. We can't cover that in the remaining 10 minutes. Are you
Well,
crazy?
there's something awfully
You
wrong.
want to do part 2 to this? We'll do part 2. We'll cover that.
Yeah.
That's its own topic.
Something is awfully wrong when, and look, some people will say, why are you even talking about it? It's not that important. Yes, it is. It is.
Oh,
Because
it is.
it's unfair to women when they are in competition or when they are, out in the public, and certain privileges that they are allowed are now being imposed on by men calling themselves women. And I know that sounds insensitive, but it's not. Because if I were ever in the bathroom with someone next to me with a penis, it would be really,
Well, you went to the
really
bathroom before, and I accidentally walked in, and you freaked out.
If I had to pee or something, I don't think I'd be able to know, and there's a man in there with me.
Well, that just happened. I accidentally walked in on you.
Psychologically.
Okay, fine, it didn't happen. I'm joking.
Why are you not making serious points? You're such an idiot, John.
That's me.
But don't you think you deserve it?
Absolutely.
Here we go again. Man imposing on woman. Not allowing her to make.
I am a woman. Don't tell me that I'm not.
You can't even let me speak because you're such a bully. Isn't the man thing? Sorry, guys. Not calling you guys bullies.
Actually, you did.
I'm not calling you bullies. Jonathan is a bully.
So I
But
want
the thing is,
Oh, you're still talking?
it's getting out of control because the world seems to be embracing it, which is the craziest thing because a large majority of mankind are women. And the problem
Half, actually, I believe.
is that a lot of women are afraid of controversy. And I'm not saying I embrace it, but I feel like the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And if everyone sits back and zips the lip, women will become minority in a women's world. And that
Interesting
is
point.
written off in every
Well,
way.
not necessarily, because you lose a lot of women that become men. So maybe there's a balance between what you gain and what you lose might actually even itself out.
Well, if you know
But you know
about
what's interesting? You never hear it the other way around. You never hear the men complaining when I'm trying to get this straight, when the real woman becomes a man or thinks they become a man or becomes a faux man, and they go into the men's bathroom, we actually couldn't care less. And they don't bother competing in men's sports because they know they'll get their ass kicked. So
it's not even a comparison worth making.
no, but if the woman came into the locker room and she starts getting undressed, we're like, look, he doesn't even have a penis. Look at that man with the little vagina. That's so stupid. So we actually laugh at that and ridicule that.
So here's an interesting point. And I believe that some people will say women are too sensitive. What are you guys talking about? So why don't you use the restroom? Well, I am going to tell you from my perspective
As a woman,
as a woman,
Allegedly.
as a born woman,
allegedly.
that I feel really bad for some of these people, and some of them are my friends. And so
Not anymore, you just lost them.
because I've been making it clear that
I know, I'm kidding.
have
Don't be so
an
sensitive.
issue with their lifestyle change. I just want them to have a place that is their place, that they can compete from, that they can enjoy, they can go past urine,
Have a
do
great
what they have to do. But so instead of having female and male, when you put a category on a passport application or whatever, there is a category, there should be a
Just put an
category
X.
that says transgender.
Okay, so I have an idea. How about how many states are there in this country? 50 or something? Why don't we just take one state and designate that as the transgender state. Like everyone in that state is transgender. Move out all the people that aren't and move that whole state become like with California, for example. Let's make it that because most of them are already there. So we could what?
What is your point? You have an equal amount here in New York. Have you ever gone to Greenwich?
Okay, so we'll anchor the country. We'll anchor the country. New York and California become transgender states.
That's a stupid suggestion
Oh, okay.
because you can't tell a person because they want to identify with the opposite sex that they have to change where they
We
live.
didn't have to, but we give it as an option.
I think everywhere in the country and soon, hopefully, the world. Let's do trendsetters. Let's set the transgender trend. And
Did you call it a trans-setter?
transgender.
No, you said let's be a. You meant trailblazer.
Trend
Right.
setter.
I thought you said trans-setter.
You have a hero.
No, but I'm saying that's like a good name for it. A trans. That's better.
Jonathan, you
A
have
trendsetter.
Do you realize when you hang out with me that your problem is coming to the surface? You know, your hearing impediment?
Well, I generally try not to hang out with you. I mean,
Well,
this
of
is.
course. Doing this is enough for the week or 2
Oh,
weeks.
it's
until
more
we-
than Knifeville. Absolutely more than
But
that.
I really believe
God help your boyfriend. Oh my
there
God.
is
Poor
a
guy.
solution to this problem. And it is a problem because a lot of women are offended and we are feeling imposed. We are feeling like another fight. Like we have to fight to get driver's licenses and get
And to vote,
jobs
and to vote.
independence.
To vote.
To vote for voices to be heard. Now we have to fight for the rest.
But you're not fighting for the rest. You're competing for the toilet.
What?
The lines for women's bathrooms are long enough. We don't need them even longer, adding on these fake women onto that line.
If I use the word that's come into my mind, my mother will disown me. So what the fly, Uncle Charlie kite is going on?
I actually have an Uncle Charlie, by the way. I really do.
Yes, I mean, I think that.
So here's the answer.
No, let me finish my.
Can I solve your problem? Because that's what I do.
1 second. And the problem is, it's getting progressively worse, and people are seeming to embrace it more and more and more. My question is, if it was the opposite, and if it was, they were having to use the men's bathroom in the reverse, would the world have reacted to it in the same way?
Well, the lines at the men's bathroom are generally shorter, so we have room for some extra people. But I think the point that you're bringing up is well taken. And the answer to this is women need to be honest and they need to be vocal.
I'm honored!
No, not necessarily.
Of course!
Man, what you just said before, this whole tirade that you went on is actually very accurate. And if all women express the opinions that you have vocally like you just did, it would change things. The problem is that most people are too afraid to actually express their feeling because they get labeled as transphobic, as anti-this, anti-that, a phobophobe, as I've said before, whatever it is. And when you get labeled that way, the purpose of labeling you is to discredit you, meaning that anything that now comes out of your mouth has no validity because you're a transphobe.
No.
And you've been zeroed out as non-existent. What has to happen is women have to be vocal, they have to demonstrate, they have to not tolerate this, just as if they were protesting something else, political or whatever it is. And until women open their frickin' mouths and join together, women don't tend to join together. They're like very catty with each other. But this is a thing where they have to get together and unite to fight the fake women from stealing all their rights and privileges.
I don't want to call their names like fake women. Like I said earlier.
Well, are they real women? Wait, are they real women?
Well, listen.
No, yes or no, are they real women? We just described how they're not. So just say no, they're not real women, which means they're faux or
They're
fake
not
women.
real women, but
So don't be opposed to the word fake.
Someone
It's true.
take my point. I have a medical background and I understand genetics, and I am aware that some people may be wired as a man, but the inside wiring is in conflict with the visible wiring. And because of that, these people are in turmoil, and I have so much compassion for them. But here's a tip, guys. When you become transgender, sometimes I see some of you and it's overkill. Us girls, we don't do
Wait,
that.
that's one of the giveaways that I was talking about. Like over made up, over dramatizing the actions.
The way
Yes,
we
exactly.
walk, the way we
Yes,
talk, us
exactly what I'm
girls,
saying.
But then it looks
They're compensating. They're compensating.
I don't take issue with it.
But don't tell them the secrets. If you tell them the secrets, then men are going to get trapped. They're going to fall for it. We need to have these certain codes that we don't share, so that because the men know them, and if the other side, the transgender people, know what they are, they'll try to hide them better. You have to leave those signs as visible, so that it's like a stop sign. It's like telling someone you're going to get a ticket if you go through that line, but we're not putting a stop sign there. No, I need that stop sign in a big octagon in red and white that says stop, so that I know not to cross that line and get ticketed.
So can I tell the story? This really happened, I swear to God.
Is it fast?
What? Yes, not a
Okay.
long story. One of my bosses and I were really good friends. And on the weekends, he and I used to hang out together. So one night, we went to this place in California called Santana. It's like the popular hangout. It's it's like a little Italy. And we were standing in this hotel, looking down, and I saw this tall, elegant, beautiful Asian woman.
First giveaway, you said tall. That's a man.
And I knew that it was his type. She wasn't like over the top tall, but tall. And I said to him, hey, check out that chick, your type. Let's stalk her. So we did. We followed her. I said, I will stay on the other end of the bar by myself. And he goes, you're not going to be safe by yourself. I go, trust me, I'm fine. I'll be watching. Go make your move. And then I will slip out and go home when I see things moving along.
What's commonly referred to as a wingman. You were acting as a wingman.
I was the wingman.
Wing woman.
So we go in and I introduced them and I had like a brief, chit chat. And then I said, oh, you know what? I got to go make a phone call. And I disappeared. So I ordered a drink. I was having my drink, watching them. And I was really happy because things were moving along just great, And then I saw them kissing. This is
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Mind if he knows I'm sharing the story, but I'm not going to say his name anyway. So anyway, I was like, wow, he got lucky. I'm a good matchmaker because this is really happening.
You said you might want to help.
And then like I said, I saw him hugging her and they were kissing and she got up to use the restroom. And shortly after she got up, I saw him throw some money at the bartender and goes, Jenny, we got to get the hell out of here.
Oh, so you mean he realized when? Wait, she went to the guy's bathroom? Or what happened?
Bathroom.
What happened? What was the giveaway that all of a sudden? Did he see the bulge?
So apparently, when his newfound girlfriend went to the restroom, the bartender said to him, hey, how long have you been dating your girlfriend?
Oh, no.
And he goes, oh, we just met. And the bartender said, are you sure it's a girl?
Oh, no. Worst nightmare.
And this person knew that they were not a woman and didn't even tell him. And to me, that is wrong.
Well, in fairness to the faux woman, at what point are you upfront with the man? Now, I'm sure there are many men that would be like, oh, I don't care, that's fine, I'm good with that. But I'm sure most would be like, I'm sorry.
No, I don't have any male friends that would have been okay with
but
that.
there are out there.
It's a throw out.
Okay, but at what point, as the transgender,
I would not be matchmaking.
No, I understand. But at what point does the transgender individual say to the man, "Hey, by the way, we have to talk about this before we..."
Starts touching her private parts and kissing her.
Well, when he touches her private parts, he'll figure it out for himself. Is the thought?
He's got perfect breasts.
Oh, I'm talking about other private parts. Okay.
I mean, if you have any respect for someone, even if you think they are expecting to
Oh, is there some sort
pay
of shot at me? Or
for services, everything is not about you. I hate the popular bubble.
all the negative ones when you mention them tend to be about me.
So anyway, I saw that and I was irritated by it. And
You set them up. Well, because you should have been more perceptive. If you watched the cues, like I'm telling you, it would have been a giveaway. The agents, by the way, the agents hide much better than almost
there
any
was no other.
ethnic group.
She was cleanly shaven.
No, Asians can fool you. That is true. which makes me suspect sometimes about you because you do have a little bit of an Asian appearance, which makes sense why this guy was hanging out with you and he liked Asian. So that actually is quite consistent.
I'm not going
Yes,
to
you make your eyes even slantier.
I am not going to justify that BS with an answer.
That what with an answer?
BS.
Oh, again, I'm here. I thought you said that penis with an answer.
Call your wife and ask her if she could order you some.
Oh, if my wife hears this podcast, I'm finished. This one crossed the line. We try to keep it clean all the time, but this topic lends itself to line crossing.
There is no clean way to have this conversation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So please, can you tell my wife it's not my fault and that we're just talking this way in context of the topic?
I don't think she needs an explanation from me. I think she knows what she's married to. End of story. Next.
Basically shut me down on that one.
Next.
I want to go back to one thing from our prior podcast. It's a little bit off topic, but I just want to finish the story quickly because my stories are quick. Yours tend to be much more drawn out and lengthy. Remember I was talking about how, oh my God, you're so angry. I'm joking. I'm just joking. Your stories are phenomenal and concise. Remember how I said how my wife makes these messes and then I have to go back and clean them up? And I talked about how my daughter needed new glasses, but she only needed lenses, and we just put the new lenses I'm sorry, she only needed new frames. I was going to take the old lenses, put in the frames, but instead the guy got whole new glasses. Instead of $125, it was $300. Anyway, I just want to wrap up that story and let you know that I went back to the glasses store and got a refund for the part that we were charged for that we should not have been.
Can I tell you something?
Sure.
When I was a young girl and I got divorced, I found myself alone in the very wide world of America.
Yeah.
I was naive and innocent. I met a Jewish guy. He told me, Jenny, you're very intelligent and you're ballsy. You want to win any situation in your life independently.
Very interesting how you used the term ballsy during this conversation as a woman.
He told me to go buy a book. It's called You Can Negotiate Anything by Herb Cohen. I bought it.
Another Jew who wrote the
And
book.
I became a brutal negotiator, and I still am. And Jonathan, the only person that puts him to shame is you.
Oh, this is actually a compliment to me.
So you need to write
I was waiting for the insult. I have book ideas. The problem is like
the things that you do, you lend evidence to the reputation of Jewish people, which is sad because I know some really nice Jewish people.
What do you think? I steal toilet paper from hotels and stuff like that?
You steal from the place here at the studio.
Well, let me explain to you why I don't steal toilet paper.
You steal pencils.
I'm going to tell you why I don't steal toilet paper. Most places, especially in...
It's double ply. He only uses single ply because he
How the hell do you know that? Single ply doesn't stuff up the pipes.
It doesn't stuff up the pipes.
Oh, I thought it told you that.
Us are stuffing up our pipes.
Absolutely.
The only person in New York City with clean pipes is my podcast partner.
I think that was like a dirty reference also. But again, we'll rely that onto the topic here.
So anyway, if you're listening to this podcast and you have any transgender connections or you are transgender, I love you. But I must tell you.
Oh, stop kissing up and
that I don't love because of things they do. They're men
What about-
that I don't love. So some of you, I have a tough time with you.
What about the whole pronoun thing? You're like, these are my preferred pronouns. You know what I call them instead? Anti-nouns instead of pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am not going to participate. Again, it has to do with participating in the theatrical performance. You want me to refer to you as all of these preferred pronouns, which are fake pronouns based on who you are. Again, hence the term anti-nouns. That's what I call them. Do you participate in that? If someone says that they're transgender and identifies as a woman, do you refer to them as she?
Whatever will make somebody happy, that's not hurting another person.
But it's hurting reality in a way. No, but it's hurting reality. It's hurting. Again, the whispering of the curses. Can you say that curse out loud, please? Just yell it out. Get it out of the way, because you do too much whispering of curses.
I have respect for the people listening, but none for you, clearly. So anyway, to me, whatever name people want to be called, if you want to be called that and I'm not committing a crime, I'll call you what you want to be called. Because to me, life is simple. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And the same way I want people to respect me and my philosophy, I try to return the favor.
I would like to be called Jennylyn from now on.
No, don't.
No, that's my preferred pronoun, Jennylyn.
Why would you want to be called my name?
Because I want to be respected and referred to as Jennylyn. That's how I'm feeling today.
Then fine, then be Jennylyn.
Well, I want you to call me. Thank you. Yes, you are very respectful. That's right.
You are lacking a beautiful pair of boots
No, I'm not.
and a beautiful smile and a warm heart. So if you want to be...
Are those qualities that are exclusive to this Jennylyn? There's no other Jennylyn that has that, like me?
I don't know another Jennylyn.
Well, you're sitting right next to one.
Except one of the women in the
No,
family.
you're sitting next to a Jennylyn right now. As of today, I am Jennylyn.
Well, why don't you go to your place of work tomorrow and introduce yourself as Jennylyn?
I'm going to, and I expect you to refer to me as Jennylyn, and your website is now mine. Conversations with Jennylyn is now my name, and that's my website. See, I just invaded your website.
As soon as you walk into the office and tell them that, they'll have an ambulance taking you to a lunatic asylum.
Well, that's a very interesting point. So you don't respect my identity and my new name.
No,
You just said how respectful you are of transgender people.
no, that's not what I'm saying.
That is exactly what
I'm
you said.
saying that the people you work with, they know me.
So
And they know if you're trying to steal my
I'm a
identity.
different Jennylyn. You're not the only Jennylyn in the world. You don't have a monopoly on that name. If I want to be Jennylyn, I'm going to be Jennylyn, and starting tomorrow, I'm Jennylyn.
Then, you know what, John? I will call
No, you just call me John. I want to be referred to as Jennylyn.
You know what, Jennylyn?
Yes.
I will call you that from now on.
Okay, fine. Done.
But you know what?
Yes.
It's disturbing
Why is it disturbing?
to share my name with such a lunatic. And on that note,
That was a good one.
time.
Wait, I want to say something. I know we're out of time. I just want to extend by 30 seconds here because I want our listeners to know that in the near future, you may be converted or transitioned from listener to viewer. Because I, Jennylyn, and this other Jennylyn have plans to begin a video presentation of our podcast, which will hopefully be airing on some station somewhere in San Francisco.
KMVT in San Francisco in the Silicon Valley on the Google campus.
Yes, so there's about an audience of I think probably 7 or 8 people for that. But that'll be good because that's new people. And then when we post it on YouTube, we can also post the video footage.
You notice how I...
And then people get to see how pretty this Jennylyn is. And they can compare who's prettier, me or you, this Jennylyn or this Jennylyn.
you.
No, that's for them to vote on. I'm not going to impose my will on them. Anyway, and the good thing is my hands have all been cured up from that thing that we had talked about in prior podcasts. So now I believe I'm pretty enough to present as the true Jennylyn on our viewing video podcast, which hopefully we will complete either next week or the week after. So very much looking forward to sharing my beautiful Jennylyn face with all of our new viewers.
And thank you for listening. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this segment. And as we wrap, I must remind you, we have no issues with transgender people. And you have been listening to How Did We Say That?
With Jennylyn and Jennylyn.
The podcast where we are always wrong. And boy, were we tonight.
And
And
authentic.
authentic. And we will be back soon. And it's feeling like there's going to be a segment to this show.
And you will soon get to see our beautiful faces.
See you soon.
Good night.
Bye.